Hi, everyone. I just wanted to welcome everyone to our sixth virtual board meeting since the beginning of the pandemic. It is essential that even, with everything around us in flux, that we try to maintain some semblance of normalcy and continue on with the education and the planning that really needs to go into every academic year. I certainly did not expect the second half of my very first year as superintendent to finish in this fashion. One of the goals that we set when I first accepted this position was really to do a deep introspective look into everything we do as a district. Because despite the fact that we are a high achieving district, there seem to be big disconnects, and there seem to be barometers of measurement that we were using to measure our success that no longer aligned with our current values as a community. And while many would think that the pandemic would force us to switch our focus, I believe that the pandemic just highlighted many of the same challenges that we faced as a district prior to the pandemic. So over the course of the last year, I've interviewed dozens of faculty members, administrators, students, and community members to try to get a real sense of who this district is, where it is in the moment, where it wants to go. And as a result, from those interviews, we began charting our course forward. The biggest question that we as a district needed to answer was, what was our goal as educators? And everyone on this conference call is an educator, whether or not you're a teacher, a board member, an administrator, a community member, a parent. We all serve as educators, and our goals have to be aligned. And through surveys and interviews, we were able to start fine-tuning what our goals were as a community. And our goals are largely have been the same for the last 100 years. We believe that education needs us to prepare for life. But what has fundamentally changed is what that life is. And now that the life that we are preparing our students for is very different than it was at the turn of the 20th century, we have to reevaluate the ways and the methods in which we are educating them. We can no longer just simply survive in an environment that we are already, successful in. We have high SAT scores. We have 98% graduation rates. We have a robust honor system. By every traditional metric, we are successful as a district. But yet, there seems to be this disconnect. In every single interview that I had with a staff member or an administrator or a student or a community stakeholder, everyone seemed to believe that there was this disconnect. They couldn't quite put their finger on it, but there was something missing. And so as the first year of my tenure as superintendent of schools comes to its conclusion, my goal going into the future is to try to pin down what our singular mission is. Because somewhere along the way, we've lost our singular mission, and it feels as if we are being pulled in a million different directions. So when we try to figure out what not simply surviving is, not just succeeding and using the traditional barometers of success to measure our students, we have to figure out what that really now looks like in students. What is this new mentality that we want to grow? One of the very first initiatives that we took on as a district during my tenure was we set up committees to begin reevaluating our goals and our vision as a district. And what we were able to establish were 6 key qualities that we've referred to as our Highlands heroes, because we want our students to go out into the world and serve as the next generation of heroes, the difference makers out there. And we were able to establish through rigorous surveys and analysis and discussions 6 qualities. The first 4 are skills that we need to have and we have to hone. The last 2 are the end product, what we want our students to be when they leave our schoolhouse. The skills that we need to equip them with, they need to be critical thinkers. They need to be able to collaborate, communicate, and they need to be creative. In the end, if they maintain these 4 skills, we believe we will produce engaged citizens who are also innovators. Individuals who can see problems and solve those problems. So we spent some time after the surveys discussing the various 4 C's or the other skills that we will need as a district in order to better train our students. And we were able to come up with these definitions for what collaboration, communication, creativity, and critical thinking looks like in each student. We also worked on defining what those end products look like, those Highlands heroes who are engaged citizens and innovators. But those are really lofty and abstract goals. But how do we get there? It's great that we have these goals as a district, but if we attempt to meet those goals with the methods and the strategies and the curriculum that we use to previously meet the old barometers of success, we're never going to be successful in this new light. We're not going to be able to train our students for the new reality that they face when they graduate and then when they go into adulthood and become active economic participants. So we had to begin rethinking then how we were going to define intelligence. Is intelligence being able to score a 1600 on an SAT, a 35 on an ACT? Not everyone, and I can speak from experience, not everyone can show their intelligence in this way. As a student, I was dyslexic, and standardized tests were never the best form in which I can display my skills, but it was really the only form that was open to us. So we honed in on Gardner's multiple intelligence to try to begin rethinking of how we as a district want to begin to train our students to be better prepared for the life that they will encounter outside of our schoolhouse. His multiple intelligence, they've expanded and changed since he first produced it, but they include spatial, naturalist, musical, logistical, existential, interpersonal, bodily, kinesthetic, linguistic, intrapersonal. Now, many of you may be thinking, well, we get an experience like that in every single class. You have phys ed, you have music, you have history, you have science. In some way, each one of these subjects hits on a multiple intelligence. But what we have to understand is that nothing happens in a silo anymore. You don't solve problems with only one skill. You're not encountered with subject matters that only require you to use one of these intelligences. So in order to better teach the students in the intelligence that serves them the best, but also be able to expose them to all of this to create a more holistic learner, what we have to do is we have to start building more conscious interdisciplinary courses that will require and allow the students a better opportunity to use multiple of these skills at once. But once again, this is all very abstract. It's the macro view of where we want to go as a district. How do we get there? And that how we're going to get there is through the 5-year plan that myself and our administrative team was able to establish after surveying the staff, students, and community stakeholders. First, as a staff and administration, we all have to make sure that we're using common vocabulary. We have to understand what a Highlands Hero is, what it looks like in our classroom, and what it will look like going outside and living in the community. How will they be able to make meaning of the lessons we're giving them and transfer their knowledge to new novel situations? As a department, as individual departments, the teachers and the supervisors will develop protocols of what it looks like in their classrooms and what their goals are for these students outside of their classrooms. The staff then themselves will take one of the multiple Gardner's multiple intelligence assessments that exist out there. With this data, as an administrative team, we will take an inventory of what types of teachers we already have in the building. What types of teachers possess certain types of multiple intelligences, and where could we use more diversity in our teaching staff? Because in order to develop multiple intelligences and really ingrain them into the culture of what we do, we have to have teachers who are able to have learned that way, because they will be better equipped to develop those types of lessons and to help other teachers around them ingrain it in their curriculum. Next, in year 2, what we will do is we will develop certain protocols and tests and questions that we will now begin asking in interviews in an effort to diversify the staff that we have when it comes to Gardner's multiple intelligences. By diversifying the staff, we can more easily create holistic curriculums and interdisciplinary curriculums. Math, science, English, and social studies, we will begin with the core subjects, will begin a curricular review process that will take 3 years. They will inventory everything that they already do in their curriculum in an effort to look for the areas that we don't emphasize. Hiring committees will also begin hiring new teachers as teachers retire and move to other districts, and we'll make a concerted effort to try to hire as diverse a staff as possible. In year 3, even though it says year 4 there, the school will administer multiple intelligence tests to the entire student body. Oftentimes, students can find themselves frustrated and annoyed, not feeling comfortable in the subject, and they might not necessarily know why. So making the students conscious of that is really important. We will also begin providing professional development to develop more authentic performance assessments, because as we ingrain the elements of the Highlands Heroes into our curriculum, and as we ingrain Gardner's multiple intelligences to ensure that we as a district can make sure that every child has the opportunity to succeed, we have to figure out new ways to measure our success. If we look to try to continue to measure our success by the old barometers that we used to previously measure our success, we will not have an accurate reading. So as a staff, we will engage in professional development in order to understand how we can use these more authentic tasks in our classrooms. The departments and the administrative team and the staff will also begin developing preliminary performance assessments. Oh, said that already. And the staff evaluation committee, I should say, will be created to begin looking and reviewing how we evaluate our staff. Because now, if we are looking to emphasize this in our classrooms, we also have to look to use our evaluation model and our coaching model to help teachers improve upon this, give them as much support as possible. So if we're evaluating teachers